Ay ay ay, what the hell do I get myself into? What's the matter, Sonic? God knows, Mighty, God knows, we are tackling through possibly my least favorite Wario platformer game of all time, which appears to be on a Nintendo DS of all things. Oh, do you mean like Wario Master of Disguise or something? Yes, exactly, Mighty. Hey, what's up everybody? It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here. And I'm Mighty the Armadillo here. We are from the Lakes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, today we're going to be hit on to perhaps it's one of my least favorite Wario platformer games of all time, known as Wario Master of Disguise, aka, for those of you who lived in Japan, this game is apparently called Wario D7 because... God knows. Well, I suppose we're able to find out as soon as we're able to dive right in, shall we? Well, I suppose we could probably do that, I guess. I mean, surely, like we said this before, well, actually, kind of think about it, I suppose that Pac-Man has already mentioned about this ever since in Wario Land 4 Let's Play back in the beginning of this year, that he did say about the fact that he was really not looking forward to doing this game, especially because, well, as you probably already know, this game is only exclusive for the Nintendo DS, and the reason being for this is because this game has a lot of emphasis on touchscreen controls for the majority of the time. So because of this though, well, it looks like Wario is watching TV, so because of that though, just to see what the news is all about on the top screen, despite the fact that the recording session was actually based off from the Wii U Virtual Console re-release version, so yeah, don't expect things to be able to have ourselves our 3DS or DS capture device or anything else to be more specific, so yeah, while Wario was busy just picking his nose every time, which I felt was incredibly gross if you ask me, but that's Wario, I'm telling ya. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of at this point there, Sonic. Oh, by the way, Mighty, have you heard from Ray? Because it looks like we haven't not seen Ray for such a long while. Where is he, by the way? Oh, he's probably gonna be able to hit on to his hospital appointment recently today. Oh, why's that? Well, do you know with the fact that, well, he got his big mouth and or anything else to be more specific when he got stung by too many bees or wasps, you know, from the likes of last year? Oh yeah, he's probably gonna get mended for sorting out with his mouth problem and all that stuff, so hopefully he'll make himself a little bit more better than the last year for sure. But either way though, still, I can't deny about the fact that he's probably not gonna join in for this Let's Play, you know? Well, because I did somehow manage able to tell him about this, and then he was like, maybe he was just a bit too busy with his hospital appointment, so yeah, it makes it a little bit more understandable for the sake of time, Mighty, so... Anyway, so you probably get the idea of what Wario Master of Disguise is all about. So obviously this game came out in 2007, which I can't even believe by saying this, it's been 15 years since when this game first came out in 2007, alongside with other DS games in 2007, like Sonic Rush Adventure, Mario Party DS, I would classify for saying Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 as well, and Donkey Kong Jungle Climber, and Diddy Kong Racing DS for the DS, and same applies with The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the DS as well, and I suppose that's about it basically. Well, as far as I can usually tell for the sake of time with all these DS releases for certain games during in 2007, so... Well, it looks like that Wario's got an idea for trying to make something unique. A little bit weird for this animation, by the way, because it's almost like staticky and stuff like that. Well, to be fair though, Mighty, because this is a DS game after all, so... Gee, I wonder what Wario's gonna be making for this point today. Because after all, he hasn't done any of this like this before. Well, it might be somewhat of a bit interesting to say the least, but either way though, we shall see as soon as we move on to the next transition for certain cutscenes or anything else to be more specific. So, despite the fact that with this very awkward recording session, but it knows what it is, I guess. Telmet. I wonder what that stands for. Oh, it's like a combination of television and helmet combined into one makes Telmet. So, I guess that makes it pretty obvious, and it makes sense, right? Well, I suppose what that does is the fact that it teleports Wario into its television, which is pretty interesting. Episode 1. Whose show is this anyway? Well, God knows, Wario. God knows. Oh, and by the way, something's worth mentioning, with that particular the level transition with all that intro sequence and stuff like that, I believe in the Japanese version it does feel a little bit differently, just because rather than showing us Wario onto the bottom screen, instead it shows us some articles or anything else to be more specific, so that's interesting to know. So in this case though, is the fact that it looks like we actually stumbled across this particular character right here, despite the fact that we have not known anything about the game, just because, well, let's just say this right now, is the fact that we're not exactly a biggest fan of this game, although we'll give Wario World some credit for it despite its rushed development, but at least I'll take Wario World any day, just because of all that fun beat-em-up moments, as well as from that, the controls are superb. Because for this game in particular though, as I said before, this game has a lot of emphasis on touchscreen controls, similar to the forms of how it does it on any other DS games like Mario Slam Basketball, Star Fox Command, and as well as Metroid Prime Hunters, and especially noticeable with other games here and there as well. But we'll save those in a future time, so in this case though, it looks like Wario has managed able to stumble across into himself the actual wand of any sorts, so I wonder what that fuss is all about then, huh? Although, originally though, I was expecting to be able to read any other game's dialogue, but honestly, I just don't know if I can able to actually just for the sake of trying to explain this. I mean, surely about the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that what this plot device actually stands for, well, again, it's hard to explain really, just because out of all the actual DS games I've actually played in my life, this one I actually played the least out of, just because, well, although to be fair though, it is once again in 2D plane, similar to the forms of how it does it in Wario Land cycle of games, to be more specifically Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land Virtual Boy, and Wario Land 2, Wario Land 3, and 4. So, yeah, at the very least though, it's once again in 2D plane, like I said before, except with the art style feels a little bit drastically different, because it's on the Nintendo DS, of course. So, that was before when Wario Land, the Shake Dimension, gets like a very unique art style with all that anime look. Oh yeah, that's exactly what you're about to be thinking of, Mighty, but hey, at least it's something, I guess, so... But after all though, we've only got about 6 more days to go until Sonic Frontiers will be releasing on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and even PC Steam, and of course the Nintendo Switch of course. So either way though, I'm still excited about this, especially noticeable, well, I should probably point things out with the other... Oh, it's Good Style, that's what his name is. Okay, that's kind of an interesting name in Fury, but regardless of such though, he was essentially a wand. So, oh yeah, there's something's worth mentioning though, is the fact that if you get to this tutorial sequence, like basically we need to draw a tick mark, and basically though, that's essentially we actually just, well, disguise ourselves as in Thief Wario of any sort. So basically, in order able to get accustomed to the controls, basically as you can see, we actually have to use the directional pad up or the X button to jump, and then as you can tell, if you tap the touchscreen, basically it activates Wario that he can able to do a bit of a shoulder bash, similar to the forms of how it does it on other games, except it's actually very awkward to use, just because, like I said before, this is all touchscreen and everything, so because of that though, well, alongside with the forms of Game & Wario for the Wii U, I will classify still for saying this that between both of those Wario franchises in mind, both the platforming as well as the micro games compilation for the sake of the WarioWare games, I think specifically this game alongside with, well, Game & Wario, both of which are probably my least favorite types of Wario games, just because with all that, well, we'll point out whenever we dive right into the actual main gameplay, if we somehow managed able to skip all these kinds of, well, we're probably not going to skip the entire cutscenes though, just because we just want to show you some of the actual preface of the actual specific cinematics, or in some cases though, in-game dialogue or anything else people like that. So, but for the most part though, that chapter 1 is basically a tutorial world, so yeah, to able to get accustomed to with the actual controls and the gameplay style, but you probably get the suggestions for this point, Mighty. And in fact, what if I looked upon the reviews of this game? Apparently though, they get a lot of mixed reception, especially because, well, we'll point out whenever we get to the actual other gameplay aspects, and as you can see, that this is the UK version of this game, by the way, because as you saw for about a few seconds ago, that we actually stumbled across a money bag, which actually contains a different money symbol, which, again, we'll point it out whenever we continue things on with this game. So in this case though, we actually stumbled across a familiar treasure chest, as you can see on screen. And mind you, about the fact that there is no Sonic, is the fact that we actually stumbled across into not one, but 2 treasures, as you can see on screen. Well, we haven't got to the top treasure just yet though, but relatively speaking though, the only ones we actually stumbled across into so far is the green chest, which, again, we'll point it out whenever we get into it though. So in this case though, is the fact that we can pretty much guarantee that we must able to just get this over and done with sometimes. But either way though, but at least hopefully, or should I say thankfully though, I suppose, we could probably get the game at some point, get this done, until specifically by the end of November, depending on time. But either way though, it's just, I just cannot for the life of me, I'm gonna do this anyway, just because still is the most disappointing game in the series though, at least in my opinion. Well, if only of the fact that, well, you have to deal with the forms of, well, let's just say, I think of like the PlayStation 1 game called, have you ever heard of Shrek's Treasure Hunt for the PlayStation 1? I have heard about it, but I looked upon gameplay footage and my lord, is it suck. Well, truth be told then, Mighty, it does suck, especially because, well, not only because of the frame rate, well, I can possibly understand because it's a retro game of any sort, but at least in terms of gameplay though, it's like a hybrid of platforming and a party game of any sort. Well, I'd say party games because you stumble across into mini games every once in a while in Shrek's Treasure Hunt, and because of that though, yeah, this game is basically the equivalent to Shrek's Treasure Hunt for the PlayStation 1, which is to be more specifically because, well, after we go for this entire huge emphasis on dialogue heavy, but regardless of such though, trust me what I'm saying for this point guys, it's actually getting a bit slowish sometimes, but either way though, we'll promise you guys that as soon as we're able to get into like, God knows, the next chapter or something, then we can probably make this process a bit faster and quicker, if depending on certain stimulations or anything, so, but we shall see for this point, Sonic, we shall see, so, yeah, anyway though, so, yeah, suffice to say for this point though, is the fact that today's day is of course the 2nd of November today, in this case in 2022 today, and you probably already noticed about the fact that I'm actually still working on, Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES, or Famicom for those of you who lived in Japan for Super Mario USA, but either way though, there's not much else I can honestly try to explain about this, so, but hopefully though, we'll make things a little bit more faster and quick, although, we're not exactly sure if we're able to decide to do the 100% completion of this playthrough, but either way though, we shall see, so, anyways, let's get the treasure opened, and immediately afterwards though, that we actually ended up in a mini game. So basically in this particular mini game right here, that's all you have to do is very simple. It's the fact that you have to able to color the actual example it shows you to, and basically though, all you have to do is basically you have to color the correct color location, and then if you think you've done, then basically just click OK, and if you've done the example, well, basically you win something very rewarding. Like, for instance, we get ourselves a new form. So in some cases though, we actually just getting ourselves a disguised gems. So in some cases though, we actually got another one of those disguises that we can able to transform into, and this what appears to be if I can draw a simple circle, there we go, we actually turn into an astronaut, Wario. So, or to be more specifically, helmet, Wario, or anything else like that. Although, truth be told though, is the fact that I don't even remember this game as much. Well, because obviously, like I said before, it's just the fact that, oh, it's actually called Cosmic Wario. Okay, I wasn't paying attention to that at all, but at the very least though, we pretty much exactly know what this, you know, this disguise things is all about. So yeah, I was right that the majority of the game that you're able to actually take control of Thief Wario this whole time. So, and because of that though, until later on throughout the game, that basically though, that you were able to actually unlock even more disguises in the future. So in some cases though, there's not much right to home about, I guess. So, oh yeah, every once in a while though, yeah, you will come across into that particular character right here, which we sometimes managed able to stumble across into sometimes, which, again, it's been donkeys years since I actually known about this game, despite the fact that I still don't usually be a massive fan of this game, just because about the fact that it's just, well, not much else to add around here. Well, I do know for one thing in mind, is the fact that, well, as you can see on screen, like I said before, oh, it's actually, his name was, Count, Candles, I think is what it says. Well, mind you, because I do exactly apologize for that particular terrible pronunciations of certain characters' names, so... But yeah, like I said before, this is the UK version of the game, clearly because, as you noticed, that the differences between the Japanese version and the likes of the US version and the UK version as well, that basically though, you're able to come across into different money symbols. So, for instance, in the UK version, you see the actual pound symbol, whilst compared to the North American version, as far as I'm aware, basically though, that you will come across into yourselves the dollars symbol, and I suppose finally the Japanese version shows us the P symbol, which actually stands for, like, I don't know what you would call it per se, but either way though, that's as far as saying goes, that's about it basically. And as you can see, we stumbled across this another minigame, which is perhaps one of my least favorite minigames in this game, which is called Trick Slider, which it does kind of reminds me of a minigame based off from Mario Party Island Tour. Although, if you do fail the minigame, basically though, as you can see, these 3 bombs decided able to come out of the chest, and then basically though is the fact that, well, you just got able to do not get hits, most likely. So because of that though, yeah, everything else will be pretty much expected for that point. So, anyways, here's the forms of the next minigame, as you can see, where basically we have to sort out some specific stuff, as you can see. Mind you, this minigame is actually called Trash It. So, yeah, in some cases though, that certain minigames are randomized, by the way, every time whenever you go into, like, different chests and anything else to be more specific. However though, certain chests in mind are pretty much mandatory in order to able to actually accomplish certain things. You know, think of like the treasure segments from the likes of Wario Land 2, although I will admit though that I prefer Wario Land 2 for the sake of the forms of the treasure system, just because, well, it feels a bit satisfying if you do somehow manage to able to memorize, well, despite it's basically exactly the same memory match minigame, but regardless of such though, it's pretty fun to execute if you somehow manage to spend the coins wisely, whilst in here though, it's just all over the place. So anyways though, let's go and move on to the next, oh, sorry for that little bit of a, knocking onto other stuff, I do apologize for that. So yeah, basically next minigame, as you can see, which appears to be Roach Smash, where basically we do need to use the stylus, by the way, in order to able to play every single minigames of how this game has to offer. So basically though, all you have to really do here is just basically you have to get rid of every single cockroaches, and that's basically what you have to do in this minigame. Simple and self-explanatory, and there's not much right to home about. Oh, and by the way, if you come across into purple chests, as you can tell, basically what that does is that you can able to actually access to the map. Yeah, because for instance though, mighty, is the fact that since we've already stumbled across into ourselves the, well, let's just say, for instance, that we actually stumbled across the green chest. Basically, that we get ourselves not only certain treasures and what have you, but also the actual disguised gem. And basically, that is one of those emphasis on the forms of, well, I'm not exactly sure per se, but basically, the red chest usually contains other treasures in mind, and as far as I'm aware, the purple ones were able to actually give you, well, technically speaking, that it's more accurately like a pink map, or just pink treasures. Well, I don't know exactly what the heck I was going to be thinking of, because again, it's been ages since I actually known about this game, although, truth be told though, that this game does contain about 130 treasures throughout the whole game, but at the very least though, we will try our best if we're able to actually go for 100% completion, but if not, then I was like, you know what, whatever. So anyways though, let's just go ahead and get rid of these little bird seagulls before they decide to attack us, because yes, much like Wario Land 4 and Wario World, that you do have the health meter. So the only time you can able to get health though is to able to actually stumble across into just, well, some hard stuff here and there. So I guess there's not much else to add around here. So anyways though, so let's get into the forms of that particular conversations for this points today, and that is the news discussion. First of all, we'd like to point things out right away that we actually stumbled across into ourselves the next tour for the sake of the forms of Mario Kart Tour recently during the forms of today, and that's what appears to be the Autumn Tour, which what it does feature on that tour though, as far as we did somehow manage to able to play for a bit, and that is the fact that apparently though, we're getting a new variation of Yoshi, which appears to be the orange version of Yoshi, so that's sure it's something, I guess. And also we're getting ourselves the another battle course, which is actually based off from New York Minute. So I don't know what exactly was it called, by the way, but I will get to my other details onto that though if I come back onto Super Mario Bros. 2, in this case Super Mario USA. So yeah, I will promise you guys I'll mention more about it. And on top of all that stuff though is the fact that, well, honestly, there's not much else I can talk about for the Autumn Tour for the Mario Kart Tour game. Well, despite the fact that I still really wish that the controls have been fixed or tweaked, so, but that's just me. Anyways though, yeah, as you can tell right here is the fact that in order to deal with enemies sometimes, that not only do you have to put up with, like, you know, touchscreen controls in order to able to deal with enemies in a quicker, fashionable way, but at the same time though, is the fact that, as you can tell, that, again, you can technically jump onto the enemies as well, if you wanted to, but again, it's just about the fact that it feels kind of awkward sometimes, and that's all there is to it, really. So, anyway, I suppose another thing I should probably explain while this is going on is the fact that, well, relatively speaking, we're actually getting ourselves the, not only one new thing is about to be coming, but also we got ourselves our first look and a trailer for Zootopia Plus, or Zootropolis Plus for the UK audience. So in some cases though, we'll explain more details on that in a moment. So in some cases though, first off, we'd like to point things out is the fact that unfortunately though, happy or unhappy 20th anniversary of the release of Shrek Extra Large for the Nintendo GameCube, which I can't even believe that particular port of the game has actually been in existence, I suppose. Oh, what's wrong with that game? Well, it's basically, it's just a GameCube version of a pretty terrible Shrek game on the Xbox. Like, you know, with this unpolished look? Oh yeah, about that, because I've seen some gameplay footage of that game during that time, and oh, son of a... I've had enough of that particular thing itself right here, so but at the very least though, we just somehow let these enemies respawn every once in a while, but... And I somehow just got hit right there, so I did not mean to do that, but at least it's something, I suppose, I guess. Anywho though, yeah, what you're about to be saying when it comes to that, what's wrong with the, you know, Shrek Extra Large. Well, as I said, it's just a GameCube version of Shrek, which, it's already looking ugly though, especially noticeable. I'm just not a big fan of the box art, and who the heck thought it was such a good idea to call it Shrek Extra Large? I mean, seriously though, that title makes no sense whatsoever, so it's just random and bizarre, you know? Oh yeah, there's another minigame, as you can tell, that we actually stumbled across into, which you have to simply just, well, draw the outlines of the shape. So, it does kind of remind me of something related to, Crazy Coder's minigame from the likes of, well, any other Mario Party games, from Mario Party 1, 2, and, Superstars. So, yeah, basically you just have to draw the lines as what it's shown on the shape, and then basically that's what you have to do. And as you can see, that we actually stumbled across into ourselves these Wario, you know, hat icons, which actually represents your life's counter. Or in some cases though, if you somehow managed able to draw the shape while if you accidentally touch the laser, basically though, that's when you're essentially able to lose one of your hat icons. So, but if you lose all three, then basically the bombs will show up, and then basically you're gonna get blown up. So, something worth classified for noticing that, so. And by the way, that minigame was called Traced Memories, so something's worth classified for noting for that particular minigame's title of what that's gonna be called for the sake of time. So, yeah, not much else to add around here, so. I will say, this music is kind of forgettable, especially noticeable. I don't even remember the music all that much, unlike its pretty cool and fascinating soundtrack from the likes of Wario Land, The Shake Dimension, as well as Wario World for the GameCube, so yeah, I guess that probably explains it, huh? Yeah, as far as, you know, what if you managed able to keep on about the actual negative parts about the game, so I mean, sure, it does look promising. I mean, for instance, as you probably can tell, about the fact that the reason why we keep on going from room to room is most likely because this game is technically a Metroidvania type of game, which, because it seems very obvious that you go from room to room while discovering secrets and all that stuff though, which I will give it some credit to it from this, but it's just the fact that it's horribly butchered from the likes of, you know, too many emphasis on touchscreen controls. Well, I totally get it, this is on the Nintendo DS of course, so. Speaking of which though, here's another new minigame we can play, and that's what appears to be, lots of dots. So basically it's just a dot-to-dot syndrome, so nothing special, it's just the fact that you have to follow these little numbers as what it's shown here, and that's basically all it does, so. Oh, and every time whenever you manage to win certain minigames and stuff like that, then basically though you get certain coins and stuff like that, so yeah, I guess that's not much else to say about this for the sake of time. Yeah, I know that. So anyways though, let's go and grab some more coins. Oh god, I honestly forgot about that particular trap right here, but at the very least we can able to ignore these kinds of traps like this, so it should be all good and all that stuff. Well, despite the fact that, you know, I wasn't really, you know, still a big fan of this game still, but anyways. It looks like, oh, we got ourselves a bit of a cool minigame I might add, which, I'm not exactly sure what this is called though, but if I recall correctly, it's called, Zubi Path. So basically all you have to do is basically you have to carefully trace your starting location into the finish spot. So not much else to be had around here, like I said before, but it's only mainly because, well, not only because of how the fact that you have to go for a lot of mini games throughout the entire game, but also get this, it only contains 8 mini games, which you know what that means, it's more repeat time. So because of that though, yeah, believe me what I'm saying is about the fact that I just wish there was actually more variety on them. So yeah, I can totally see why a lot of people seem to not be a big fan of this this game as much as the next guy, but still, I have to do this anyway for the sake of the Wario retrospective of games, so. Sorry about that. Although, to be fair though, it does manage to bring some references here and there for this game, such as for instance that they obviously managed able to bring Wario's, or reuse certain Wario's voice clips from not only Wario Land 4, but also Wario World and Mario Kart Double Dash, so that's sure it's something, I guess. Well, I can honestly have to admit it though right away, it does sure looks a bit something, so... Anyway, so every once in a while is the fact that at the end of each level, as you can see, we actually stumble across, I would say the first boss in the game. So basically, this first boss right here is actually known as Mad Hat Mark 1. So basically though, is the fact that all you have to do, as you can see, that what the game tells you to do, is the fact that we need to turn into certain disguises, like for example, since it actually shows the star icon, which means that in order to, well, as you can see on this little weak spot, as what's glowing on top of this little clamshell, or this specific glass dome, basically though, you have to use the Cosmic Wario disguise, and then basically, if you've done that, basically it's your chance able to attack him by, well, disguise it back onto Thief Wario, and it's a pretty simple and easy boss fight if you manage to know what you're doing, but it's just the fact the matter is though, it's just the fact that, well, I did not exactly know what to expect for this, so... Although I would like to able to mention more details about this for this point, guys, but honestly, you can technically jump on him though, that's the only thing I was going to be able to questioning that, but... And thus I can able to actually duck while simply able to, like, fire missiles. But again, it's just the fact that I don't exactly know this game all that much compared to other Wario Land games, basically, because it's just, again, I'm not a big fan of this. So, anyway though, so I think we're basically done with, well, Mad Hat Mark 1. So, again, very simple, easy boss fight, so, yeah, smell it. Haha. Anyway though, I guess that's not much else to say. Although I would have liked able to mention more about other stuff about this game has to offer, but it's just, well, it's just there. I mean, surely it's not much else, anything else to be found around here, so... Although, we do apologize for our comment take is a little bit slightly bare bones, but that's only mainly because I honestly have no words to say about this. I mean, surely we've already explained all that much for the sake of the forms of that, you know what I mean. Well, I can totally understand what you're about to say for this point, Sonic. I mean, surely it's all I can honestly try to think about this, so... But let's just say about that time though is the fact that I'm sure that both Pac-Man and Pinkie Pie have pretty much guaranteed about the fact that they've already mentioned tons of stuff from the likes of, thanks to, you know what I mean, Mario Party Superstars, Let's Play, and you name the rest, so... But I digress. Oh yeah, something I would like to also mention about this as well, I guess, is the fact that I recently managed able to rewatch the Pikmin shorts movies, thanks to YouTube is now a thing, because aside from the fact that they obviously already delisted, you know, the Pikmin short films, either on HD or 3D versions, that basically though, those movies have been delisted because... got no words to add, so... And I think, suffice to say, I think that basically does it for Chapter 1, or Episode 1 even. Well, mind you, I think, fundamentally speaking actually, I accidentally ignored the last treasure on this level, so I might as well be back for that eventually. But don't worry though, we're all able to try our best if we're able to actually find certain treasures as much as we can, so... Yeah, I guess that's not much else, I guess. Although, I hate to say this, but... getting the treasures might be a bit bragging rights, I guess, although I've got no words to say. So in this case though, yeah, we've basically done Chapter 1 or Episode 1 either way. So yeah, there's only one minigame left, and like I said before, there's only 8 of them, so it's not much variety, I guess. So, but I digress. But what you can do with this little scrapbook, as you can see, you can able to actually look upon certain enemies you encountered, and especially noticeable for certain treasures that you encountered, as well as the forms of that particular description about the chapter, as well as the minigames you can able to replay through. So, again, not much else to say about this for the most part, it's just there, so... But we'll show this off in doing at some point whenever we get to, you know, the final video, just to get this out of the way, I guess, so... But that wasn't until whenever we get to the point until by the end of November or something, Sonic. Oh, snappity-doo, I guess. So, I digress though. I do apologize if my mood is actually not in a great mood, but that's just how I feel about it. So, join us next time for more of Let's Play of Wario Master of the Skies. It's the fact that we'll move on to episode 2. So, yeah, we'll see you guys until on Friday. Yeah, later, fellas. Bye.